Leenock versus Rain. Of course, here we are in game number 1. The map is Daybreak. In the bottom left-hand location, we have the red Zerg player from FXO. He is Leenock. Never know what to expect from him. His opponent in the top right-hand location, it's the blue Protoss player, Rain, of course, the OSL champion. Can never ignore this guy. He costs 12 points in the Team Liquid fantasy thing for Pro League, which means he's good, I think.
I think that means so.
Yeah.
There is, nobody else who costs 12 points. There's nobody else who costs 11 points. This guy was, the most expensive player in that fantasy league. But Leenock is one of these guys who, up until recently, some people I think overlooked him. But even back then he was doing exceptionally well. But over the last few months, his results have been absolutely spectacular. And every tournament he's played in, he's basically made a huge performance. Taking second in the most recent MLG, and then winning the one before that at Raleigh. And one thing that's really cool about him is just we talk about how unique his style is. We actually just recently we compiled a top 5 Leenock plays from MLG Fall Championship, and those are some great plays inside there.
Yeah, of course, you can check that out at MajorLeagueGaming.com. Ooh, did Rain? Did he count the drones there? He didn't go behind the mineral line to see that spawning pool, but he's gonna put a cannon down anyway. So he must have seen all he needed to see. Of course, Leenock opened this game. I think that was an 8 or 9 pool. And Rain opening up with a forge right away. So he pretty much knew this was coming from the beginning.
This is an interesting play from a Zerg on Daybreak. I mean, these early pulls from Zergs, they're not exceptionally rare, but it's pretty rare to see them on Daybreak, and it's a move Leenock would do. He's one of those guys who's not afraid to do builds that nobody else does, and I think the whole idea is so many Protoss have been doing that build where they build the first pawn in their main.
Yes.
And then they get the Nexus, and then they go and scout.
That's what I've been doing, man.
And the early pull is probably a way to try to take advantage of that, saying if we're not going to get your pylon out there in front, there's no way you can get that cannon set up in time.
And you scout a little bit later, too.
Exactly. This game, though, didn't quite work out, as Rain did get that early scout off. And he's got to be happy with the openings of this game, as that early pool has so far done just about nothing.
And it's not going to do anything unless these Lings, manage to track down this probe. But I think Rain has right-clicked that back to his natural expansion mineral, and it's going to be just fine. And yeah, Rain his economy is going to be just fine at this point in time, up 20-16 at the 4-minute 20-second mark of this game. A nice lead to be able to have this early. But of course, Leenock, he's done some crazy stuff upon being behind. And look at that, as I say that, taking this crazy early gas. I'm assuming that's not an extractor trick. No, I think he's going to keep that. So Leenock continuing with his wonky ways.
One thing that's particularly, that I find particularly interesting about the way this opening works out is, I've seen Leenock do a lot of kind of crazy, unorthodox openings. In fact, one that I recall especially strong is against Oz in the Fall Championship, where he went for that Nidus rush, right?
Yes.
And in that game,
Metropolis.
Exactly, on Metropolis. And in that game, he had to build a third base at 4 minutes. So when Oz's probe got there, Oz wouldn't be suspicious. But the way Leenock opened this game, it looks like he's going to prove me wrong, but I suspected he would be able to prevent any probes from leaving Rain's base, and then he wouldn't have to build that fake third base. Rain may be able to sneak in there, though, and that would be devastating for Leenock if Rain knows there's no third.
Yeah, he's going to see the lack of a third here, and now he's going to start wondering. Of course, he's probably like, oh, Leenock, oh, you. What are you up to, my friend? And, Rain is going to have to start really being proactive about making sure he doesn't get caught off guard by anything. We already see him placing a pylon in the lower left-hand side of his main base. Of course, this is to ensure he has as much visibility of his opponent as possible, because there are a lot of dark spots on Daybreak initially if you don't spread out your units. And Leenock is a guy who will potentially, Nidus you. So Rain making sure to prioritize the fact that he has maximum vision on his side of the map among his two bases to prevent a potential Nidus from coming up. But it looks like that's exactly what Leenock isn't doing at this point in time, adding on an evolution chamber, and speed is halfway done. What do you make of this?
It's really hard to tell if he was planning to go for that Nidus build, but then decided as soon as that probe got in there and saw lack of a third, then he started speed instead of the lair attack. He would have gone lair first if he was planning for the Nidus. So I don't know if he was planning for that originally. He is well known for that, or if this is just a build he's planned all along. A lot of gas, but no lair tech yet. A third hatchery and a melee upgrade on the Zerglings.
There's the lair. Is that just for a fast +2? I'm thinking. I mean,
I think he's going speedling and faster off 2 base, would be my guess from here.
Right.
Which I actually really like. If you think about, if you're behind from the opening, if you try to play a standard 3-base, macro game, you're gonna be in such a tough spot against any 2-base timing.
Of course.
Because people talk about how strong that Immortal Sentry push is in a normal game, and if you're, let's say, 15 seconds behind from the way you did your opening, or however long it is, that can make the difference between being able to hold that push or not. And so Leenock's gonna do a 2-base infester where he's already basically safe from any 2-base timing. There's no way he can lose the 2-base timing with this opening unless he makes a substantial mistake. So he's pretty much filling in the hole from falling behind early by doing a little bit more of a conservative follow-up.
He's definitely going to be incorporating a bunch of lings in his composition earlier on, because he has 4 hatcheries already on the field. And again, his economy isn't fantastic at this point. He has 54 harvesters, so well away from that optimal amount that you want, making 24 speedlings in that production tab. So probably going to try to focus on preventing Rain from taking that third base. And it looks like Rain is playing relatively safe, relatively conservative. I say that because he got 3 sentries early, which means that's gas he's spending on those units and not on crazy fast tech. Also, he got 2 observers out of that robotics facility, so that's a lot of building time that he could potentially be getting immortals out. So I do expect Rain in this game to go for. I would expect. I would imagine he's going for some sort of safe, third expansion type play rather than any sort of 2-base all-in at this point in time, at least.
Most likely. This is a build you've seen a lot of. Oh, some Zerg action going on here.
Wow. Well, perfect force fields there from Rain. I expect nothing less. Of course, Leenock trying to delay that third as long as possible is not going to be successful, and there is a Zealot awaiting in that gap, so Leenock is not going to be able to do any sort of counterattacks, and Rain is controlling this really well so far.
He is. He hasn't been able to trap any speedings, which is the one thing that maybe could go a little bit better for him. But he's been able to at least not lose any units.
Yeah, that's important. Of course, he has been expending that energy, but of course that energy does come back onto those sentries. The important thing is that you don't lose them, because if you lose the sentries, you have to rebuild them pretty much. Oh no, Leenock coming in from 2 different directions. Is Rain prepared for this again? He has to have perfect force fields. Leenock getting ready, and Leenock seeing that defensive posture of Rain and saying, you know what, I cannot engage. I'm going to try to bust through into the natural expansion of his opponent, the Zealot, trying to hold strong, but Leenock going to back out of there. And Rain, again, Leenock is just having so much trouble finding an opening in Rain's defenses.
He is, but is he really trying to find an opening, or is he just trying to distract Rain from the real threat, which is going to emerge in just a few seconds here? Mulus in massive numbers are in production. What does Rain have to deal with him? He does have the blink upgrade, I believe.
Yes, he researched that fairly early on, and he's already adding on those stalkers. And look at this, he's making them in his main base. I think an observer went and saw that spire. No, he hasn't seen the spire
He has noticed it was a fast layer attack.
Okay, sure.
So he knows it's either Mulus or Infestor, so why not, at least be prepared for either one. His third is totally safe without having to warp in extra stalkers there, right? I mean, once he has sentries and a photon kit, he's not going to lose that to speedings anytime soon. But in his main, he's only got 5 stalkers there, and that is a lot of Mulus.
Oh gosh, that's so many mutas. Rain is terribly vulnerable at this point in time. Needs to pull his stalkers from his third to help reinforce, and this is one of the toughest parts of PvZ and dealing with mutas, especially on this map. Your first and third are so far away from each other, it can be very difficult to defend from all the Zerg threats, especially when the highly mobile Lings and mutas are involved. Rain scrambling to add on more and more stalkers here. Probes are vulnerable. Stalkers blinking down to the natural expansion. Immortal getting targeted down. He's going to stay alive for a little bit longer, but so many mutas on the field from Leenock, and he's adding more and more.
Oh, Speedy's joining to action.
Oh gosh, Immortal incredibly vulnerable here. Leenock coming in with absolutely everything in Rain. Again, he has to control this perfectly, but not partitioning off his army as optimally as he could. Sentries getting taken down. Rain desperately trying to add on more and more stalkers here, but his gas is getting incredibly low. One of the gas that's natural expansion isn't even mining. Rain is scrambling, trying to make the correct decisions, but Leenock is absolutely everywhere.
Mulus crashing the main and the third at the same time. Leenock doesn't care if Rain has an army there. He's still going to get a couple kills and get out of there.
Wow, Rain doing a decent job here, though. He's able to protect the majority of his mineral lines. Let's look at the worker killed count really quick. 16 workers killed. Rain is down to 54 harvesters to his opponent's 68. But again, Leenock is perfectly happy with that. Just trying to keep his opponent at home, trying to keep him on edge while taking a 5th hatchery back home in the top left-hand location. And now he's going to try to engage with all of these things and these mutas storming right into the natural expansion. Again, Rain does not have Storm on the field, has no High Templars. That is what would be optimal at this point in time, is only left with Blink Stalkers. The next is at the natural expansion. It's going to be targeted down, and Leenock takes it out. Rain blinking forward but a little bit too late, and Leenock has to be feeling happy right now.
Kingdom maximum value for those beatings. The Mulas able to maintain their count, and I feel we can sense a desperation in Rain here as a Dark Shrine is underway.
Yeah, okay, he placed that in his main base, so it's definitely going to be visible here from Leenock. In fact, he's already seen the Dark Shrine, so Leenock knows exactly what's going on, which worries me a little bit because, you know, Dark Templars are nice, but you still have to be able to have enough gas to be able to make Stalkers, defend against these Stalkers, or transition into High Templars. Now, Archons can have a decent utility, but again, it's pretty hard to control those against those supremely mobile Mutalisks. So Rain is definitely up against the wall here. He has to make something happen, and these DTs have to do, you know, a ton of damage to Leenock.
And you mentioned, I mean, Leenock has seen the Dark Shrine. He's already making preparations, Spore Crawlers, and every single one of his bases along with Spine Crawler. Oh, and even worse for Rain, the Mutas find a Zealous. That was his basically ace in the hole to try to get some counter damage done. Unable to make that happen. Leenock's basically gone through this entire game, suffering no damage of his own.
Yeah, Leenock is playing this beautifully. He has 26 Mutas on the field with 3 more in production. A ridiculous amount. Now, I don't see how Rain can deal with this without those High Templar Storms. Leenock going to be engaging into Rain's army at his 3rd base ramp. Stalkers are going to be vulnerable here. Rain trying to bring back the Stalkers from the main to deal with this. But again, so many Mutas literally one-shotting those Stalkers, and Rain down to 96 supply. Leenock at 161. His follow-up, he's got Baneling Speed on the way. He's got, looks like he has Speed. It looks like his Infestation Pit on the way as well. Just going to turn around these Mutas and directly engage these Stalkers. Rain hastily trying to add on more and more of them, but Leenock has so much. He's going to back away for now, but Rain, again, he's in, so there's the GG. Rain is just going to throw in the towel saying, you know what, those Mutas are too strong, that's way too much. I have no answer whatsoever, and Leenock is going to take a pretty convincing game 1.